going to start this off by saying, first of all, my heart goes out to the families of these victims and everybody who was affected by this. And today was the beginning of the hearings for both Colt Gray, the 14-year-old who did what he did at the high school. I don't even want to mess up the name. And his father, Colin Gray. They made their first appearances today. They did not have the full trial, but rather the initial hearings they were charged with were read. So let's just take a look at Colt Gray, the teenager accused of unaliving 4 people in Georgia high school Wednesday. Let's check it out. Well, today, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm reading it verbatim, as you can tell.
Let's take a live look this morning. This is in that Barrow County courtroom. We're listening to the judge right now.
All right. I also want to inform you, I want to ask you, do you understand that you have the right to be represented by an attorney in these proceedings?
Yes, sir.
And you are, in fact, represented today, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Zane Harmon, you're here on behalf of this defendant, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and you understand that you have the right to be continuously represented throughout this proceeding, and if you cannot afford to hire counsel, then this court is obligated under the Constitution to provide counsel for you without cost to you. All right, I am going to inform you of a few other matters, and I'm not going to ask you anything, just inform you. So one is, I want to make sure that you are aware that you have the right to remain silent. You don't have to say anything at all. And it's important to understand that because anything you might say could be used against you at further proceedings associated with your case. I want to inform you of the charges that you currently face. In essence, you are charged with 4 counts of felony murder, as outlined in the state warrants that have been issued against you. I want to make you aware that the maximum penalty for felony murder, so for each count, the maximum penalty is that you could be punishable by death, by imprisonment for life, without parole, or by imprisonment for life, with the possibility of parole. If you have any questions about these charges, then I would urge you to discuss those with your attorney. I would invite you, Mr. Harmon, to inform the court as to whether there's a request for bond at this time.
At this time, Your Honor, there is not a request for bond. We will file the appropriate motions if that becomes necessary.
So I'm just going to give you guys the information as I know it to be. The school shooting incident occurred on September 4th, where a 14-year-old student, Colt Gray, opened fire, resulting in unaliving 4 individuals. 2 students, Mason Skierman and Christian. I'm gonna just say their first name so I won't mess any of this stuff up. Christian, both were 14, and 2 teachers, Richard and Christina. One was 39 and 53. 9 others were injured. Now, the suspect, Colt Gray, was taken into custody at the scene by school resource officers shortly after the shooting. He has been charged with 4 counts of felony murder. Now, the father's involvement, Colt's father, Colin Gray, 54, was arrested on charges including 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. He allegedly purchased the AR-15 style rifle used in shootings as a gift for his son. So that's how he's connected to this. Now, this is the background that they're giving me too. Prior to the shooting in May 2023, the FBI and local authorities investigated online threats made by Colt Gray, which included photos of guns. Despite these threats, no further legal actions were taken at the time due to insufficient evidence for an arrest. Legal proceedings, so both Colin and Colt Gray have made their court appearances today. The maximum sentence being life in prison. Preliminary hearings for both are set for December 2024. So as you can see, social media and the public reactions have been marked by grief calls for stricter gun laws and criticism towards those who perceive to be blocking gun control measures as all this is taking place. Now, under this video, people are calling for the worst of the worst. Somebody said he probably has been looking forward to prison. The father arraignment is on right now. Somebody wrote those 2 hours ago. So you can see people are pretty upset. Such a tragedy for a kid, throws his whole life away. Definitely. Now, here's Colin Gray, the father of the high school shooter, at the first court appearance after being charged with murder here in Georgia. He's facing up to 180 years in prison for giving his son the AR platform gun to use in the shooting. Let's check it out.
And at this hearing, I'm first going to ask you just a few questions, and then I'm going to advise you of your rights and also let you know about a preliminary hearing that's been scheduled for you. Why don't you just state your name, please? Colin Gray. All right, pull the microphone down, please. There you go. All right, and how old are you, Mr. Gray?
54.
And are you able to read and write and understand the English language without
Yes,
any
sir.
difficulty?
Yes, sir.
How far did you go in school?
11th grade GED.
Okay. And I note that you have counsel seated with you at the table. You understand that you have the right to be represented by an attorney at all times for this and all future proceedings in your case?
Yes, sir.
And you understand that, of course, if you cannot afford an attorney, that the public defender will be appointed to represent you upon your request.
Yes, sir.
All right. And counsel, would you identify yourself, please, for the record?
Donna Seagraves. We are going to have new counsel assigned to Mr. Gray later today.
All right. Thank you. All right. Okay. Sorry. Just need to make sure that the system is working. And all right. So the following aren't questions that I'm going to ask. I'm just informing you of some things. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you at further hearings or at a trial on the charges that you're facing. For this hearing, you're not going to be questioned about facts and circumstances surrounding your charges. You are currently charged with, and you'll be provided with copies of the warrants if you don't already have them. You're currently charged with 2 counts of felony murder in the second degree. You're charged with 4 counts of felony involuntary manslaughter. You're charged with 8 counts of felony cruelty to children in the second degree. Now, for these offenses, for the felony murder counts in the second degree, felony murder in the second degree, the maximum penalty for each count is up to 30 years imprisonment. For felony involuntary manslaughter, of course, again, there are 4 counts. The maximum penalty for each of those offenses is 10 years imprisonment. For the 8 felony cruelty to children counts, the maximum penalty under the law for each of those 8 counts is 10 years imprisonment, for a maximum total possible penalty for the charges that you currently are facing of 180 years imprisonment. If you have questions about these charges, which I assume that you will, the court urges you to discuss those with your attorney. Let me inquire as to whether there's a motion for bond if Mr. Gray is moving for bond at this time.
No, sir, not at this time. We will allow alternate counsel to make that decision.
All right, thank you. All right, I also need to inform you that you have the right to an indictment by a grand jury, and You also have the right to a preliminary hearing unless you make bond or waive such a hearing. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a judge or jury. You have the right to confront and cross-examine all witnesses. You have the right to call witnesses on your own behalf and testify in your own defense if you so choose. I want to make it clear to you, Mr. Gray, that you are presumed innocent. Your refusal to testify at any point cannot be used against you in determining whether you are guilty or not guilty. I mentioned the first appearance hearing a moment ago. That is being set for you for December 4th, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. Currently that's set to take place in the Magistrate Court of Barrow County. It could be subject to change, but I just want you to know that that is the date that we currently have. In fact, counsel, could you approach, please? I have this, let's see, I need to scratch this out. This document.
So the major question here is, who gives an assault rifle to a 14-year-old on the FBI watch list? He's already on the watch list, right? Somebody says, what good can come of buying your 14-year-old son a weapon of war? I don't understand the mindset behind it. Now, I do know that you have some, gun families and things of that nature. I'm not like one of them people who's against guns and nothing like that, because I believe it's the person behind it and not the actual machine. But yeah, what? 14? Come on, man, that's a child. And he has the freedom to do. Come on, man. Wow. Somebody says this needs to happen every time, so this doesn't happen often. Hopefully never. Tell me again, why do we need easy access to AR platform guns? Why can't regular people be barred from buying them? What's the purpose to serve in everyday life? Some people wrote, as a parent, any parent that encourages gun use for their children and something like that shooting occurs should be held responsible, period. Somebody says it enrages them to watch some of his family and supporters in the gallery roll their eyes over these charges. He is absolutely responsible for the carnage. This should be a lesson to all parents, especially fathers. Keep your guns locked up and away from children. Man, make sure you be a parent, okay? Keep your children protected. And I see stories like this all the time where people are casually throwing their guns on a dresser and forgetting that they put it in this place and that place. I just watched a movie where a cop left his belt on, and this could really happen. It's a movie, I know. He left his belt on what is it? Just say a chair. His daughter woke him and his wife up with the gun pointed at the wife, saying, "Hey, put your hands up." He put his hands up so she didn't shoot, but you see what happened. Keep our kids protected. This is not okay. You know what I'm saying? And to the families and everybody affected by this, my heart and apologies and prayers definitely goes out to y'all. I'm so sorry for this unacceptable tragedy. This is a very terrible situation for all the families involved. On the legal side of things, local prosecuting authorities will continue to go after anyone with unsecured firearms. And I think that definitely needs to happen. You should have it legally and no other way. Be safe, but go check on somebody today. You could be saving their life. And I'm not just saying that because I'm behind this camera, y'all. Seriously. Don't take this as something that you're just hearing in passing. Yes, I'm holding you accountable. Take this literally. Call somebody that you haven't checked on. Check on them, Oh, there ain't nobody checked on me. But set the example, man. Somebody has to start. Y'all be safe.